Constructing your life is about much more than just building a bank account. Each week, join real estate entrepreneur and mindset coach Austin Linney as he interviews guests who are constructing their dream lives and impacting the world around them on a daily basis. If you're an entrepreneur or wanting to start a business, or you just want to hear motivating stories of how others have overcome the odds, you are in the right place. And now for your host, Austin Linney.
Guys, welcome back to Construct Your Life. We have the pleasure. We got three in the house today. We got the brothers. We got German, because he said I can't even say his name right, so why even try? And then we got Oscar in the house. So introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, and then we'll get rolling, guys.
Yeah, man. So I'm Oscar, and this is my brother. We're real estate investors. We are, paving our own way through mistakes, hurdles, mindset changes. We could dive into whatever you guys want in this show, but we live and we learn, and we correct, and we do better. That's kind of our mantra, the way we do things, and we try to grow with people, and always give back when we get to another level that we think we're good at. So yeah, that's kind of my take right there. German, go ahead.
Yeah, man, my name is German. Like you said, man, I'm in the military. I've been in the military for 19 years. I'm very excited, man, to talk to you, tell you our story, what we're all about. And like my brother said, we got in this venture, and we've been venturing, all our lives since we came in to the United States with our family when we were little, and then in the military, now in real estate, and try to help people, grow themselves and yeah, man. So we're very excited, bro.
And look, and I'll say it because y'all don't want to say it, because I can't. And I live in Texas, and I worked in the restaurant business, hotels for 20 years. I am over the conception that people have of the South American cultures and who they are as a person. Because I've worked side by side with them for 20 years. A lot of those guys had 1,000 acres in Mexico and 5 businesses back home, and supported, multiple families. And what I am not okay with anymore is that everybody has an equal opportunity to step into this world. And I do business with 3 types of people: military, people that have been recovering addicts, and people not from America. Because I know every day that they show up, they're going to take it to the next level, and they're not scared of work, because work is the actual only way to smash all limiting beliefs and where you started. And there's not enough people in this world saying, I don't want to do that. Well, guess what? Somebody else is going to do it. And I always, and I haven't told you all this story, but I want to tell you this story because he's not from here. So my buddy is from Sardinia, Italy, right? And so, long story short, he was a tennis prodigy, and he moved over to Florida, away from his family, and he went to school. He got a master's degree in economics, and he graduated in 2008. Yeah, you can imagine how hard it was to get a job. So he went on 60 interviews, couldn't get a job. He finally took a job as a maintenance worker for a 40 unit. That's all he could get. Well, 7 days in, one of the tenants calls and needs him to clean up the shit that was floating in the room. The toilet had overflowed. There was shit everywhere. He called his dad. He said, Dad, I'm way better than this. There's no chance I'm doing this. This is ridiculous. I have a master's degree. And his dad said, just give me 7 more days. I have no idea what that's going to take, but just give me 7 more days. He said, fine, whatever. 5 days into it, the owner liked how he worked so much that he came to him and said, listen, I'm getting divorced. I don't want my ex-wife to have the property. Do you want to buy this 40 unit?
Wow.
And that's how he started his career. He now has 153 units and like 30 Airbnbs.
Nice.
And so we don't know what situation we get ourselves into, right? So we don't know the opportunity that's presented to us if we're not willing to put in the work to get there. And so I just wanted to highlight that part. But tell us about yourself, and tell us about, where y'all got started and how this journey began.
Cool, man. Yeah. So we, like you said, military, and we love what we do, but at the same time we're thinking of also how to grow outside of it as well. And I started wholesaling and doing other strategies like subject to about 5 years ago, and then eventually realized that wasn't for me, and it took too much effort for the little reward that I was seeing. And then really it was last year, 2019, when my brother and I decided to partner up and say, hey, let's go. I had a few buy and holds already, and then say, hey, let's go, to a low entry point like Cleveland, Ohio, and let's invest. And when we went, the idea was to buy a few small multifamily properties, residential, and we ended up getting offered 300 unit portfolio, um, where we crushed all of our limiting beliefs as far as what we could do financially, and just when your back is against the wall and you have an opportunity, how you go and figure it out and crack that puzzle, right? So we dwindled it down to 30 properties and then 20 units from there. And we decided, hey, we're gonna make it happen. And we called every lender we could, everyone, and we eventually found someone that was like, hey, this is how you guys can do it. You can do it yourself. You don't need like anyone. You have the credit, you have the reserves, you have the money, so you can do it. And we're like, oh wow, okay. So we talked about it and we just did it. We made tons of mistakes, I tell you that. Tons. And it was just a JV between him and I. And yeah, we're still through the process of, this lady had everything in a notebook. Talk about mom and pop notebook. Some had leases, some didn't have leases. It's been a rough one. And from there, we're close to hitting 90% occupancy right now. We're revamping the last few units, and we hope to stabilize it and keep it as a buy and hold.
And just to confirm, it's what type of property?
It's a rental portfolio. So it's not an apartment building. It's a rental portfolio of 20 units. So it's small multifamily units, but we bought them as a portfolio.
Okay.
Not individually. We bought them all in one shot. Put the money down, closing on individual, total of 13 properties, 20 units, but we did it all in one title closing.
And that was all your money? Like, you didn't raise money?
No, we didn't raise money. We did all on our own. And we got, actually, because it's residential, we got a bargain, because it's not valuated as a commercial property. So it's valuated at the residential level, but the cash flow is at if it was commercial level.
And this is in Cleveland, correct?
Outside
Lorain, Ohio. Yeah.
Lorain,
okay.
Ohio.
And y'all live like around the corner, right?
No, man. We live.
I knew the answer. It was a joke. Yeah.
No, at the time I was in Colorado Springs. Jeremy was still in California. Now I'm in Virginia. So it's been crazy, man. And like I said, we've made tons of mistakes, right? But that's what it takes. It takes making mistakes and learning from it. And we didn't take anyone's money, because we actually, there was a point where we were raising capital for another deal. And we decided to stop because things became too hectic, and two, we realized that we need to have our operation solid before we take a dime from any person. And we have that opportunity, but we're not going to do that because we want to do right by investors. We want to do right by ourselves, So
there's a lot to unpack there. What was, and I always like to ask this question, you took it down. Of course, it's been stressful, but what was easier than you thought? Than probably what you told yourself.
Let me get into that, man.
Yeah.
Because the story, easier was, I think, getting those limited beliefs out of our lives. Because the reality was that my brother and I were going for 1 or 2 units. That's what we thought that we were able to afford. And so the easier part was finding the deal. And I think that's the easiest part of all. When you find the deal and people struggle, like, no, I need to get that deal. Well, yes, it is difficult right now. But the easiest part, I think, of our deal was finding it. The way that we did it is actually a little unorthodox compared to how people tend to find deals. But we made it happen. And so, in my opinion, that was the easiest part. The deal fell from the sky. And we're like, okay, can we do this? And then, yeah, we were able to do it. So finding and enclosing it was probably the easiest part. And I don't know if my brother has a
The
different opinion.
closing, I think, was the dead
Well,
easiest thing.
I'm curious, and I don't know much about the deal, but
Yeah.
what you told me is it was a 300 house portfolio, right?
At first, yeah.
Initially, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, and I'm just looking at it from an outside point of view, was there a way that you could have secured the other part of the deal and then wholesaled it out? Yeah.
Yeah, we could have. And we could have also raised capital and taken it down. But these were all things that when we were getting into it, we didn't know. We didn't know raising capital. We didn't know the power of our network. I mean, we didn't know at that scale how to do it, right? So we had to scale it down to a way that we did know. Once we close, and that's why I say the easiest part was closing, because when we close, we're like, oh my God, this is actually really easy to close. The hardest part was what came after, which was the stabilizing, the getting with the property manager, making sure we're on track, all that. That's the hard part. So when people celebrate that they close, I always tell my brother, I'm like, congrats, but you're gonna have a real reality check.
Yeah.
We're gonna see how those relationships are gonna be in a couple months, because all these partnerships and these syndication and people doing it who are doing it for the first time, and all they cared about was doing a deal, but they don't have that baseline. I guarantee you, in 3 months, they're gonna hate each other. They're gonna hate their life, and
it's a lot of work, man.
Because it's a lot of work.
My brother and I, we hate each other sometimes.
Yeah. No, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work, and I'm grateful that I'm doing it with my brother and not somebody else.
Yeah, and now we talk about it, and we're like, that's why, like, we've had 50 units and 100 units on the contract, but and luckily they fell through because of COVID or this or that. But looking back, it was a blessing, because it's helped us solidify our platform, our business, so that when we do land it, we do it right. Because I'm seeing so many people right now just wanting a deal. But if that's all you have and you don't have a base, you're going to have a hard time.
I used to work in private equity, right? And what people don't understand is when you raise money, you better turn on the water hose, because they're not waiting. And so if you want to slow down, you're like, whoa, hold on, I just had a baby. It don't work that way. It don't work that way. So this is what I tell everybody, because I teach people Airbnb. You're telling me you want 20 Airbnbs when I'm telling you that with 3 run properly with no help can financially set you free. Yep. We get too much into what it looks like. And what I mean by that is, you could have wholesaled it. Yeah, you could have raised money. But what I also know is I talk to enough young people to know that some of their goals is to get 2 properties in a 7-year span, which if they're around me, that's not allowed. But what I'm saying is you've done that in one shot, right? And so now you take the 20 units you bought, and now the next one might be 60 or 100 or 20. So you've jumped so far ahead, even though there are growing pains. And I think that 5 years down the road, you'll look back and you're not gonna worry about what money you could have made, because the lessons learned here are so much more valuable than any dollar amount.
Oh yeah, huge, man. We've learned so much, and we've learned the power of teamwork, because outside of that, we have grown our network to the point where, hey, who knows about underwriting? Who knows about this or that? And we go, and if we have to pay for mentoring, we will, because that's only going to help us in the long term, right? So we're Jet and Gino students because of that reason. Just our knowledge, we can't even explain it, man. It is ridiculous.
One of the greatest things I ever heard, and I thought about this morning when I was talking to one of my coaching clients. Grant Cardone, whatever you want to think about him, I have my own opinions on him. But he said that when you come to a conference, you're not paying for the people on the stage. You're paying for the people that you're sitting next to. And when you hire me as a coach, I'm going to help you. But you're also paying for my network, which is 20 years in the making. I'm going to introduce you to multifamily guys, Jake and Gino guys, a wealth advisor, a social media expert. Like I have gone and cultivated these relationships. You get them automatically because you're in my circle, and I don't think people put enough stock in that.
No. They don't because you know what? People want to do it themselves, right? And that's not a natural human habit to say, I did it. But the reality is that no one does anything by themselves, right? We all have someone we lean on. We all have someone we bounce ideas off. Why not bounce it off an expert? Why not take that extra investment? And that's something that it takes time. Some people have to shift their mindset a little bit on that piece. And it took us time too. I mean, I had to be comfortable with spending the money to say, actually, you know what, bro? We absolutely need it. And we need it now because we're in it now.
Like and I think that was besides the properties, that was the best investment that we made.
Yeah.
And it's just having that backstop, right? And my favorite quote, my favorite thing I always say is like, you only know what you don't know because you don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, and the thing is like, you know, I've been to a Jake and Gino event. You get around people that have bought 1,200 unit portfolio, and they're like, well, I mean, we didn't really know what we were doing, but we did it. And then like, here we are. And then it's like, okay, we did it. And so like, I would imagine that no matter how hard it's been, that both of y'all believe that anything is possible now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why we have long-term goals, strategies, and we have different business ideas we solidify every week. I mean, and it's growing little by little because we still have our jobs. My brother's retiring by the end of this year, and I should retire in 10 years if I stay in. But I mean, if it all takes off on the side for me, then I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll stay in, but maybe it'll be a fluid thing where I don't have to pay as much attention to it. Who knows, man? But there's a lot that goes into making all this happen, right?
What? Because I look at both of y'all, and y'all both serve, and my business partner's in the military. He's in Hawaii right now. He's a helicopter pilot, captain in the military. Who are your, you know, I would imagine that both of your parents are extremely proud of the men that you become. And where did you learn this service of duty from? Where does this ability to learn and everything, where does that come from?
Man, can I do that? I like to be honest, man. I like to be open. I mean, yes, I always had that sense of because we came from real like humble backgrounds, you know, especially when we landed here in the U.S. And for some reason, and you might get this story from people that said there was something in me that always told me that I was gonna do something different than most of the people in my circle, in my inner circle. So I always saw myself out there. But then because I always saw that potential, I always wanted to find something that would allow me to help other people, right? But then with the military, to be honest with you, I didn't seek the military to help. I never, it was never in the mind. So I want to be honest to you that, well, you know, I want to be a patriot and I want to give back to the community or the country. No, the Marine Corps fell out of me being desperate to find something else because college wasn't for me at the time.
A higher calling.
So I joined because I wanted to get out of the place that I was in, and thankfully, I mean, it allowed me and it provided everything that I wanted without even knowing what the Marine Corps was at that time, because I didn't even know what the Marine Corps was. But I just jumped in and I was like, you know what? I was looking for adventure. It gave me the adventure. It gave me the knowledge. It gave me the discipline to do a lot of things that now allow me to work with my brother and do what we're doing. You know, a sense of loyalty as well. Because now it's like if I work with somebody, man, I'm not looking to gain something for myself, but as a team. It's like if we don't all do it, then I can't sleep at night. So yeah, that's basically where I came from with the military.
Yeah, and I think it was the same thing. I think I saw him go in, and honestly, I mean, we grew up in not one of the best neighborhoods in New Jersey, and all our friends are like mechanics, and they're still doing the same thing. They do what they were doing 10, 15 years ago. So for us, for me, it was, well, I didn't want to do that. And I didn't want to just stay in my neighborhood. I wanted to do something else. So for me, it was okay. Let me try the Air Force. And then when I got in, I've always been curious and wanted to learn more. And then I saw, I would always talk to people higher ranking than me and things like that. And eventually, I said, hey, I can be an officer. If that guy can be an officer, I can be an officer. And then I was like, let me try it. So I did. I got picked up for a scholarship. I ended up going back in as an officer. And I think it's all about exposure, man. I think for me, it's been awesome to be around people that have a vision and a camaraderie to do a mission and get things done, right? And you meet, just like in anything, the military, you meet people who are gun ho, and then you meet people who are also lazy, right? And you learn great leadership. I've seen the best freaking leaders I can ever meet, and I've also met some of the worst that are extremely micromanaging and will tear your life apart because they're higher ranking than you, and that's not a leader. That's just a boss, right? So I've seen all those, and I think all that has shaped my brother and I who we are today. But I think it comes down to a lot of exposure of as a minority, right? We don't have exposure to people who have a sense of accomplishment and done certain things in their life. So going from enlisted to officer to me was a huge deal in the fact that I was now around people who had gone to Ivy League or they were lieutenant colonels and they had done investments on the side. And all these people who I became friends with or who tell me, oh yeah, my dad's a hedge fund manager or this and that. And I'm like, man, I would never interact with people like that. And little by little, I would pick people's brain, like, what do your parents do or this or that? And then it came back around, and eventually that's how I ended up finding real estate, other things like that. But I think exposure is such a huge deal, getting out of our comfort zone, out of our neighborhoods. And it doesn't matter if you're black, white, whatever. We all have our comfort zones, and we just need to get out of them to grow, right?
What I'm fascinated with as I continue to do the podcast and meet people, and I didn't have it this way, so whatever, but I'm fascinated with the amount of fortitude and burden that it takes for a group of people, meaning you and your brother, to break the chains of generational poverty, whatever you want to call it, or unknowing of skills and techniques, because, and I almost want to do another podcast just about that, because I look at both of y'all and I realize that, don't get me wrong, you want financial freedom, it's very exciting, but I almost sense it in just my ability to understand energy, that this is so much bigger than y'all, both of you. It's about teaching your family, right? Meaning not just your immediate family, the family in general. That, and I say this, do you know my buddy Adrian Salazar? Do you know who he is?
No, I don't.
So he's 24 years old. He owns 187 units. He lives down in Texas. He's been working in real estate since he was 17. Awesome. I looked at him the first time we met him, and I said, let me explain something to you. You think you're buying apartments? That ain't what you're doing. He goes, what are you talking about? I said, you are proof that a Hispanic man doesn't have to be the sheetrocker. He can own the damn building. He goes, shit. He goes, I didn't think about that, because it's the truth. But you're breaking social norms. And right? This is so much bigger than both of y'all.
No, it absolutely is, man.
Yeah, and actually, I sent an email, a text to my brother the other day because we were talking about that, right? And I almost cried typing that text, and actually, my eyes got watery because I remember the text and you were talking about that. It's actually bigger than that, and you might not be conscious about it, as you do it. But once you are, and I'm not saying we're at a level that where we want to be, but we can see it, right? We can go like, okay, yeah, we're gonna get there one day. But in the meantime, once you stop and realize the power that you have to influence people, you have to start taking it seriously, because you become somebody that people are looking up to, man. And we're starting realizing that, and that's when you cannot let your guard down, because it becomes a responsibility to do good on people and to grow as much as we can, because there are people that are looking at us, and sometimes they tell us, and sometimes they don't tell us, but we know that they're counting on us to do something because their dreams are depending on our actions and how far we get. And that's big, man. That's huge, and that tears my eyes when I text my brother. It's like, dude, this is me. This is what I want to do. This is how far I want to get, and I'm 100% on this. Because I cannot just let my guard down or my game down just because I'm tired. It's not that anymore. Yeah.
But it's so much bigger, man. Let me tell you something that I just talked to someone yesterday about, because when we talk about exposure, right, we also talk about exposure of how to invest your money and break those chains that you're talking about, right? So, for example, our podcast, General for Financial Freedom, our concept is constantly evolving. But what I want to make sure is that minorities and Latinos and people who don't have access to non-traditional investments that will accelerate their money and wealth building process, even though they're not looking for wealth building, because all they're looking for is getting out of a rat race. But I know the day I found out that you could do an 80% total return in a period of 5 years on a syndication, and I saw numbers and I was like, my God, I have never seen something like this. And I have never seen it because I haven't been exposed to it. I haven't been around the right people. But if me as a Latino can bridge that gap to people who might be interested, but they're scared or they don't know how or whatever, and I can show, hey, all these people are doing it, you can do it too. Even if they don't invest with me and they go do it with whoever, at least I put the bug in their head to say, hey, man, it's not just stocks, it's not just bonds, it's not just RIA, it's not your 401k. There's other ways to do it and maximize your money so that you can leave your neighborhood if you want one day, so that you can grow, so that you can try whole life insurance with infinite banking concept. I don't know, but there's millions of ways of doing it differently than the way we've been taught.
Yep.
No, and I had a conversation. I just interviewed him before this. I've known him for 17 years. He runs all the money for UT, $50 billion they run. He's from Venezuela. His wife's a doctor here in the States too. I texted him the other day and I said, for the foreseeable future, meaning the rest of the time that I'm on this fucking earth, we are going to start a financial education and mindset class for kids from fifth grade to high school, because I was very smart. I didn't love school. It's not my thing. It's not my bag. And my own limitations of what people told me in conjunction with my alcoholism and everything held me back from just now being 36, 38, 37 to get the financial education that I needed, because my dad's a doctor, right? So it's like, go to school, go to the city. When COVID hit and all these things started happening, I thought to myself, like, how do you truly make a difference? Well, and then the riots started. And then I talked to my friend who's an investor in Memphis, who's an African American. And she said, Austin, what you don't understand is the simple fact. It's not that we're upset. Like, I don't even want to get into that conversation, but what I'm saying about investing in money, she goes, the people in the neighborhoods, the underprivileged neighborhoods, don't know. And I'm like, like, what are you saying? She goes, they don't know how a credit card works. And I'm like,
nope.
I'm like, huh? Well, hold on. And so I taught a class for her, the group she's using. And now that I'm seeing y'all and talking to you, like, I'm going to have y'all involved and stuff. But I get so much more of a charge out when I can meet an 18-year-old kid and he's already done a first wholesale. And I'm like, dude, you are like
way beyond your years.
You're like 10 years ahead, bro. Like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I could barely put on pants. Like, and so he DM'd me, right? And I was in Florida and I was like, I just called him and he's like, oh my God, you're calling me? And I'm like, yeah, dude, like, I'm going to watch this process over the way. And so that's why I get so excited about this, because you're 100% right. You know, I heard about infinite banking a year ago. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Could you imagine if you started this when you were 18? And
well, I'm going to open one up for my son who's a year old. So in 20 years,
20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we have, and it's so funny that you say that, because I told this to my buddy the other day. It's not an option that we don't share what we know. meaning
yeah.
meaning we have an obligation to do the podcast. And when you remove how many people are listening, when you remove all those things, because somebody, right? I heard a great quote: if you have one follower, you're an influencer.
Yeah.
So it's like you can influence that person. And so I see my young guys that I coach, and dude, they're like, yes, we like, and all I'm doing, and I think you're doing the same thing. All I'm doing when I'm on the podcast or I'm coaching somebody, I'm saying, what would I have wanted to know when I was 18? Like, what would I have wanted to know that's going to speed me up 10 years, right? And so let's talk about this. Let's really hit home. You can easily just continue to buy single family properties, and it's not that you won't buy portfolios or more single families, but what is the thought process and the drive behind spending the money necessary to get into a multifamily group, and what is the shift mentally to do something like that? Where does that start?
Well, it starts with the scaling, right? So if you want to scale, you have to do it right. And there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle. There's the funding puzzle for raising capital. There's the acquisition leads piece, and there's the overall management. How are you going to manage the asset and manage your company, right? And all that takes someone who has done it correctly, because there are people who have done it but have not done it correctly. And that takes picking their brain to do it right if you want to scale. So for us, we spend that money, and it's been, it's priceless, man. You can't put money towards that. And for us, that's step one of the goal, right? The goal is, let's do a right syndication, do the right way, and provide the returns day one to people the way we're supposed to, right? But the longer term vision is really creating a bank, a hedge fund, a fund where we can provide opportunities for other people who are coming up like us and show them how to do it. Or if they have a deal and they don't know how to invest, we say, hey, we have the money, just show you how to do it. Win-win, right? I mean, we're bringing people up as we're also growing. That, and then recently we started talking about a network for Latino investors, kind of to help them educate themselves and minorities. But I don't know, man. I mean, we have that grand vision, and we just started really developing it. The goal for us is eventually, obviously, share generational wealth for us, and to, if we don't want to work a day, don't have to work, right? But ultimately, I would like to leave a deeper impact as far as how I can shape a community and really help out other people grow too, And I think the best way is becoming the bank. I would love to become a bank, a private equity, a fund, that stuff right there. I mean, you can't get any better than that. You don't need to find a deal. People find a deal and you help them get it through, right? But I don't want to be those crappy funds or equities where they're freaking just in it for the business. I want to do it with a purpose, right? And the purpose is to help other people who are coming up, especially people who have never been exposed to this kind of world.
Yeah.
That was going to be, by the way, just so we're clear how we both think, my next question was going to be, have you ever thought about opening a fund?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're working on it, man.
No,
Yeah,
I've been teaching myself for the last 2 years, and I've worked in private equity, and there is so much value to people being able to place money with people that they can relate to, right?
Yeah,
to have a
absolutely.
story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see in my head, I already see y'all's business as a equity fund, a mortgage company, an insurance company, and a construction company. Like, I see it all. And, you can, this is something I talk about a lot. And I think this is what gets lost. It's a simple thing. But I heard a quote, and it said, when you become a landlord, become a fucking landlord. Like, if you're an Airbnb host, become an Airbnb host. Like, what we're too concerned about is the return that we're getting on the flip when you're not realizing that you're feeding 10 families by the people that are working it.
Yep.
And when you concentrate on those aspects, then you remove yourself from the emotion of it and you focus on what matters.
Exactly.
And you can make the money, right? And who doesn't want money? I want money. I want to live in freaking Italy. Of course I want money. But I always lead with impact first. And I look at the both of y'all, and it makes me happy that you're being like, y'all know Diego Corza or no? Yes.
No.
Oh my God! What am I
You gotta
doing,
make these
guys?
introductions.
Guys, this is me. I'm
You gotta make
sorry.
those introductions,
I'm sorry.
man.
This is me. I'm gonna, dude. Y'all
Yeah.
don't even know what's about to happen to y'all. I'm introducing y'all to so many people.
Man.
He's got a guy who's been in the military, who's been doing drop shipping since he was 18 and traveling the country doing drop shipping in the military. About to start buying real estate. He could teach all your guys drop ship. I mean, dude, I got everybody. But Diego was the first guy to start the mastermind that I became. He's a dreamer, and he talked to the Supreme Court. He's been on Bigger Pockets. I mean, everywhere. And he's 29 years old, and he's a millionaire. And he's got like 30 properties. He's going to close 50 deals this year as an agent, and he is helping the Hispanic community get loans, right? And show them the process and how to house hack and all that stuff. And so what people don't understand and what they don't talk about enough is when you and I are doing these for other people, we're learning too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so we're learning about ourselves. And when you have that big of a vision that y'all do, you can get up every morning.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. I wake up so motivated every day, and I'm thinking, okay, what do we need to get done? And I have it all written down as far as how we're going to get it done. I mean, my brother can attest to that. I'm a task management guy that breaks it down.
I think as I look on your faces, because you are brothers, I can see the difference in your personalities. I don't even need to make y'all take a test. It's what I do. Have y'all read Rocket Fuel?
Not yet. I'm on traction right now.
Okay.
And this guy's gonna get disappointed at us.
guys. If I'm not mistaken, Oscar integrator, right?
Yeah.
And then visionary. I'm telling you right now,
ENJT.
You'll read this book and go, are they in our souls? Like, are they in our souls? Because my business partner loves the tax code. He is a spreadsheet guy. If I never look at a spreadsheet ever in my life, I would be the happiest person on the planet. I want nothing to do with it. It's not my thing. But when you have that power combined and everybody knows their defined roles, you explode, right? And I think I would imagine that there's a little more tension in the process sometimes because there is family blood, right?
Absolutely.
But it's a different type of tension though, because my brother and I, man, we love each other. Like I'll give my life for my brother anytime and for his family.
Yeah,
and it's the same way around. So obviously, I mean, there's gonna be days when things don't work and we get frustrated and we tell each other what we have to tell each other. But guess what? The next day I wake up and my brother, I mean, we have a history that we cannot kill just because one day we're pissed off at each other. So that's what I'm saying. I'm grateful that I'm doing this with my brother and not somebody else, because it's easier to just throw the towel with somebody else that you don't have that connection, you know? Yeah. So you gotta do that.
So I think you're absolutely right, man. So like I'm the integrator. In my job, in my career, I've been the guy who stood up units, helped stood up squadrons from scratch. So I like building and I like integrating teams and managing teams to do stuff. There's always going to be ruffles, right? Because people have different ways, different characteristics, right? My brother he is a social butterfly. He is the man who can connect people,
I knew it.
Right?
Yeah.
He can connect people. He is great at it. And while I have a great personality, I'm more straightforward and I'm more blunt and I cut to the chase. My brother's like, man, let's go drink beers. And I'm like, nah, bro, you messed up today, so you're on timeout. You know what I mean? So that's my personality, right? And you got to play to those. But I know that as we grow and the right people in the right seats are in our team and as we grow, I won't have to worry about certain things because processes should be flowing and the right people are there. And my brother is key to that. You know, he's key because he's my right hand man. I trust him 150%. Right? When people say they can't work with family, that's ego talking, man. That's ego. I really think there is no better partner than family, as long as you can also remain respectful, right? That's really it.
Couldn't agree more. I mean, because I got a younger brother. He don't want to listen to me for shit, so I just gave up. So, but long story. We my parents got divorced. We went separate ways. So we're working on it. But you know, I think I know better. Of course I know better. And he's like, just let me live my own life. And so we've kind of got to that point. So it's fantastic. But what I wish, right, and like, I look at it from a concept of, like, when I got started in investing, like, my relationship with my dad is not that great. And I realized through a lot of self-work, like, I wanted to be the biggest real estate investor for him. Like, I'm going to prove to you that I matter and all this stuff. And when I broke that down and it wasn't a part of me anymore, it was kind of scary, because I had to then look at myself and determine what I wanted to do. And the task that you're taking on is not a small one, right?
Yeah.
Because ultimately what you're building is for your legacy behind you, right?
Mm-hmm.
But damn, it can sure light a fire every day, right?
Oh yeah,
like, and I find myself, right? I find myself getting so much more enjoyment out of my client's success than my own. I've almost removed myself from giving a crap about my own investing, because I'm so excited to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
But you're building something, right? That matters, right? And can matter to so many people. So when do you take a day off, right? How do you regulate? I think that's the number one thing that people ask me, like, when you're pushing for it. I have my own ways, but what do you, because you're in the military, you've got families. What do you do is there any days where you just say, we're going to shut it down today?
Absolutely.
Because there's a podcast, there's so many things. So I guess that's something that's very intriguing lately. What do you do with the burnout?
Oh man. So we hit heavy burnout, I think around July, August, especially when I was moving my family. But it was very rough. And the reason it was very rough, because like you just said, we had a million things going on, right? And appointments and things would happen on the weekend at 4 p.m., at noon. This time, blah, blah, blah. We get home, something at 5. Well, I just picked up my kids, right? So I think it's being realistic and knowing your time and knowing how to work in your time frames, right? So what I really had to do was sit down, especially with my wife, and make sure, hey babe, like, what do you need from me, and like, how can I make this work, right? A real honest conversation. And flat out, she was telling me this for a few weeks, but we always reach a point where it has to be breaking point, right? And then she tells me, look, I need you present in the moment. When you're not doing that, I need you off your phone. I need you this, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, got it. And what I ended up doing was really saying, okay, I pick up my kids at 4:30, from 4:30 to 8. At 8, I put them to bed. And at 8, and they're younger, they're 3 and 1, and put them to bed. And after that, I can work on whatever I want. If we have a podcast, we usually do them late, around 8:30. We'll do them 8:30 Eastern time. For Germans earlier. And then we decided, okay, on Monday is my brother and I, our team meeting, end of the day. Tuesday, the end of the day is reserved for either a podcast or some kind of meeting. Wednesday, we don't have anything unless we decide to an ad hoc meeting. And then Thursday is a podcasting. I don't touch anything on Friday. Don't touch anything on Saturday or Sunday. Those are extremely reserved for family, and that's it. And it has been hard because I crunch everything into Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. But you know what? That forces you to really time block and to be efficient, right? If you give someone a task and you don't set a deadline or you don't set a time, they're going to take whatever time they do. And it's the same thing for ourselves. So if I don't say, hey, I'm going to do this from 1 to 2, and that is it, I need to maximize that time to finish whatever I need to do. If not, I'm going to take all day, right? I mean, it's just the way it is. But with that, I just developed that system, and it's been working, at least for me, really, really great. There's no out of the blue things or nothing. I have a huge calendar that is in our living room that has all our doctor appointment, everything, podcasts, you name it. My wife knows exactly what's going on. I don't need to worry about communication on that piece. And yeah, just I think that buy-in, if you have a partner, if you have kids, is making sure that you're on the same page. You can't do that. And I'm doing this for my family, so I can't get to the point where I'm losing my family for a business. If I get a business and not a family, then I'm gonna be a mess. Yeah, man. So I broke it down a little bit more, but that's how I do it.
How about you, Jerm?
Well, man, I'm more flexible. Right now, I'm on the edge of retirement, so I don't have to come to work from 7:30 to 4:30 anymore. But one of the things is that I know when I have the most energy, and I try to maximize those times as much as I can, because I know that I have the most energy during like really early in the morning, and then like late at night when my brother is ready to do like a podcast or whatever. So I maximize those times. So what I do also, and what I've learned is like, okay, I'm on the West Coast time, but I know that business is usually done East Coast time. So I realized that, well, I got to get up earlier. And so what I do now is when you say, do you take time off? My time off is every morning at 3 in the morning. I go to the gym for 2 hours, and that's me. I don't touch the phone. I don't see the phone. The phone rings. I don't care. Like just my brother does on the weekends. And my family is not here with me. They're in Colombia right now. So it's just me, and then from there until like maybe noon, I'm working on everything that I have to do with my brother. And then in the middle of the day, I kind of take a nap or kind of disconnect from everything, and then again I pick it up at night when my brother is ready and we're ready to work together. That's basically what I do. But I take days off? Of course. I mean, everybody goes up and down. Sometimes you need like a whole day, a random day. And it's easy when you have your own business to create your schedule, even though you're trying to build something big. But if you don't take care of yourself, then But the beauty of that, like my brother said, he makes his own schedule. I make my own schedule, and sometimes just between him and I, hey, I don't feel good, bro. I need to take today off. My head is not, it's not 100% of that. So we do that. But that's basically what I do, man. I wake up early. I do my gym time, which is me, my reflection. I listen to podcasts, to audiobook. I get ideas and I type them to myself. I text myself a message saying, dude, I like this idea. And then I send it to my brother. And sometimes my brother's like, no, that's not good. It's like, okay, well, it was just an idea, you know? But that's basically how I work. And then I make my own schedule, and then my knowing when I have the most energy.
Yeah.
And I saw your post the other day. You talk about the sacrifice that it is that your family's not around you.
Mm-hmm.
Is it hard?
Yeah, man, it's hard. I mean, and it's hard and lonely, you know. But again, I know, and because we kind of did that with my dad when we were in Colombia. My dad had to leave us to come up here. Man, hold on, I'm tearing up. And my dad had to come to the States, and it took a couple of years for him to be able to bring us here. So, yeah, I mean, we came to the conclusion that I needed to do this for myself, and I needed to put 100% effort on this with my brother, and because it's my ex-wife, we divorced, but we still have a great relationship, but she knows how important this is for me, and she was like, hey, you need your time to do this, do it, we'll leave, and whenever you're ready again, we'll come back and we'll work on our son together, so yeah, it's hard, but you have to make those sacrifices, man, because if you don't realize your dreams, how am I going to tell my son one day, hey, you have to realize your dreams, so yeah, I mean, he's away for a little while, but I also have, because I'm retiring, I have the luxury to be able to travel anytime and still do what I'm doing with my brother long distance, because we're already doing it the long distance. But I'm able to travel and go see him whenever. He can come in and see me whenever. So it is a sacrifice momentarily, but it also allows me to focus 100% on what I'm doing with my brother.
No, and I mean, I agree 100%. You know, the question that I think that needs to be asked to everybody, right? And I was talking about this with my buddy today, is that when you don't allow somebody to chase after their dreams, you basically cut their heart in half.
Yep.
And over time, they're going to deteriorate in who they are as a person because they felt like they've been held back.
Yep.
And the best thing that you can do for any human is create the space to let them and support them on their journeys for their dream. And if they get into a year of it and they're like, well, hey, this doesn't work out, that's great. And I'm not saying go crazy. I'm not saying move to Italy. That's not what I'm saying. But we live in a society where mediocre is okay. I don't want mediocre. I want the best. And I want the best for the people around me. I want the best for my family. I want the best for everybody. And we have neutered people in our society, telling them that they can't do something.
Yep.
And I don't believe that there's any limits to anything. And I know that walking away from this interview, that my network, my energy, my resources, and to be honest with you, my company too, will do whatever is necessary to support you.
Thank you.
To see that your dreams come true, because that's how much I believe in it. And so if I'm one person and you inspire other people, can you imagine how much energy is going to be behind y'all's vision?
Exactly.
For it to come to reality, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was deep. That was really deep.
Yeah.
I love it.
It is.
Yeah, it's true.
It is. You know, I read a great book that Brandon Turner recommended called Vivid Vision, you know, and it's, you know, how do you even know where you're going to go if you don't paint the vision of what you need, right? And I've had a effed up year, like a really fucked up year, but, you know, laid off, divorced, all these things. But through all that and moving across the country twice and back, through all that, I've met somebody that cares about me, that we care about each other, and it's made me a better man. I've now in a role where all the distractions around who I am have been removed. So I'm allowed to be the best version of myself, which is a coach, which I doubted for years. So when you look back on it, maybe financially, I don't have exactly what I want, but mentally and lifestyle wise, I have exactly what I need. So how much powerful does that make me as a human when I'm operating at the fullest extent of who I can be? And that's some deep shit there. But what I'm saying is we sometimes think that we're operating in the full sense of what we are. And I don't think we've even scratched the surface.
Oh, yeah. And the good thing that you said, you know, you're operating 100% on what you can give. And it doesn't have to be perfect, that 100% perfect that you have in your head that you have to be in order for you to provide an input and provide, you know, like coaching for somebody else. Because every time I think, and I'm a fan of what Jake and Gino say, that you learn more when you start teaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah, so
half the time I'm coaching, I'm working on myself in the same time. Yeah.
But sometimes people think that it's like, well, I'm not there yet. You know, I'm not there yet for me to coach somebody, for me to tell somebody. Well, just your life and your experience. I mean, there's people out there that might be going. You and I went through divorce. You know, now you can. And you're already doing good. You already found somebody. You know, you're creating something for yourself. You can actually tell somebody about divorce. You know, even though you're not doing 100%,
you know,
but that person.
You know what I thought when I got divorced? My first thought, whatever. I go, man, I'm going to be able to help a lot of people.
Oh well, yeah, you thought that. I didn't think that.
but what I'm saying is that is that that's a thought that came to my head because let's be honest, and you can talk on this.
Yeah.
When it all goes south, right, for whatever reason, there's a lot of truths that come out in that conversation, regardless of whose fault it is, that are very hard to hear.
Oh yeah, dude.
Very hard to hear, because it makes you self-examine yourself like you've never been examined before. Am I wrong or am I right?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Regardless of whose fault it was, but it's hard.
Yeah.
But
it's hard, and you feel like a loser. You feel like, hey, you're letting people down. You know, you have. I mean, everybody thinks that they have their perfect life, their perfect family, perfect life, and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden everything comes down. So yeah, it's hard. You know, I never thought about like, oh, I can help people out with my situation. That's a great perspective to have to make the process easier. But the thing is that once you come out of it and you see things a little clearer, you can actually tell somebody, it's like, dude, it's not the end of the life. You know, you can actually turn this around. You can turn yourself around, and you never know what other possibilities or opportunities that situation that you went through is gonna bring you to. You know, in my case, for example, I mean, yeah, it was hard and all that, and we still have a great relationship, but it allowed us to also look at our dreams. Like you said, if you don't let somebody else realize their dreams, that person is going to deteriorate with time. We realized that we were holding each other back, you know, and through that divorce, we became free as individuals, and she's allowing me to realize my dream, right, and and letting me be who I want to be, because she's already who she wants to be, right? But I'm not there yet. But she was like, hey, let us go, let's do this. You realize your dream, because that also is going to help our son, you know. Just think about as a family, not thinking like globally like my brother and I are thinking, but as my son. And also she realized that I'm that type of guy that I'm always want to give the example. I'm always trying to provide not money value, but the example of, like, I want to tell my son one day, it's like, hey, go for your dream. No matter what. If I don't realize this and I keep it to myself and I keep deteriorating and I become old and having all these regrets, how am I going to tell my son one day, it's like, hey, go for it? Well, Dad, you never went for it. You know, I'm just going to be just like you. So yeah, the divorce was hard, but again, it allows us to become free and be the person that we needed to be right at this moment.
It's funny, and you get to be a better dad because you're the best version of yourself. But
Exactly.
I'll tell you this, and I've never shared this with anybody. The moment that we officially decided it was over, and I signed the contract, I signed the house over to her and the dog and all that stuff, we sat on the porch and talked for 3 hours. Like, I'm dead serious. Like, we were like 22 or 25, and it was the weirdest thing in the world, because it was like all the bullshit, all the stress was gone, and we could just be ourselves. And what you realize through that, as you look back on it, is that her and I, in the moment, in the relationship, were not ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We were some messed up version of ourselves that were lying to each other about who we were. And there was so much
just to keep it together. Yeah.
There's so much context, because here's the scary thing that they don't tell you. The choice to do it, the choice to get divorced, is the hard decision.
Yep.
And then you have to break up with their family, who her brother's a friend of mine, and you have to break up with all these things. But it's something that my buddy said to me. He said, you have the opportunity for 50 years of more happiness. Don't just be in a prison because you think it's what you should do. And that was kind of the freeing moment for me that allowed me to move on. And I would imagine that even though the days are still hard for you, that there's a glimmer of hope that you're seeing with inside yourself that is getting exciting, right?
Oh yeah, no, I'm excited, and what I'm doing with my brother, I mean, it's my life, man. You know, this became my life, and it's my life, and it's a huge dream that sometimes it's so hard to put in words. And that's what I'm working on. And like I said, man, sometimes uh, just texting my brother, man, just texting what I dream or what I'm going through or what's going in my head or how excited I am of an idea that he gives me, or maybe a question that he's like, and he makes me think, and I have to answer to that question, and he makes me dream so big that I'm like, holy crap, man, and he tears me up. I'm texting and I'm like, holy crap, man, like, and that's the life that I was looking for, bigger than myself, and it's a dream that hopefully we get to achieve, and if we don't, then I have no regrets because I went all at it, and that's what I want in life at the end. I want to be, I want to get old, and when I'm about to die, have no regrets. Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready because I did everything, every single thing that I wanted to do. I wanted to do, and I tried it. So that at the end of the day, I think that's what life is all about. Whether the money comes, I mean, and we know it's gonna come, but it's also another tool to make a significant impact on the world. Why not?
So I'm gonna say it because I want it recorded. So when we do it, I can play this video back. Okay.
All right.
So my dream, we're doing it together. I already have the people. I already know who's gonna do it with us. And I mean this. I couldn't be more serious about saying something. My dream, the reason I truly want to make it is because I want to give fucking houses away. I'm not talking about giving, a piece of sheetrock. I'm talking about a house. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do, all of us together, is we're going to create a separate charity from the fund and whatever fund I create. And we're going to pick military families that have been affected by war or battle or whatever, and we're just going to give houses away.
I love it, man. I love it. In that we talk about stuff like that all the time. So I posted on LinkedIn like a few months ago about the affordable crisis that is going to come at some point.
It's a nightmare.
Keep raising rents for the sake of profits, right? And I get it because you have to have investment, but there's other ways that you can value add a property, right? There's other ways. It's just that the easy way is raising rents, right? So what people don't get, and what I wrote in that post was that we're gonna raise rents, and our deal coach, who's Bill Ham, 20 plus years of experience, agreed with me. We're gonna raise rent right into rent control. Mm-hmm. And we're going to mess up a whole profitable system that we have in place because we're too short-sighted to see how we're going to mess it up, right? Because at some point, the working class is going to be pissed off and the politicians are going to have no choice but to implement rent control unless we find creative solutions. So I literally proposed in that thing, if anyone in my network knew how we could possibly set up a third-party charity / subsidy through my idea was through your job. Like if your job could somehow write that off, but they provided money to the charity and they help provide housing for that community now through that charity, then it's a win-win, right? They're helping with housing, but they're also writing it off on the business. So now you get either cheaper housing or free housing.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of lawyers came on and said, no, that's not possible. You got to change some laws in order to do it.
I digress. But listen, what I see the actual way to do this is like I've been teaching myself, is for us to become builders and then create communities of 1,200 square foot houses at an affordable price, backed with a mortgage company and a furniture company, right? That is on a buy to whatever, but where the charitable donation is the down payment on the property, right? They were to make the payments, right?
Yeah.
And so I think the only way to do this is to go out and create it yourself because there's going to be too many stipulations from
Yeah.
the other side.
Anyway.
Look, and I don't talk politics. I could care less. I'm not going to get into it because I control my own world. But half of the reason that we're having these conversations is because I'm all for capitalism. But half of the reason we're having these conversations is because all these companies are short-sighted in their beliefs.
Yes.
And we are accelerating the gap too quickly between what somebody can make and what they can afford.
Yes.
And here's where we are.
I agree, man. It's short-sighted right now, and I think it's gonna take guys like you, like me, like my brother, and I'm sure there's other guys who are working on it as well. But the day that we can put our strengths together and do something bigger, we can help change that status quo. And all it takes is one company to do it and be the leader, and the rest will follow, right? In my example, I wrote, what if someone like Amazon did it, right? Because Amazon has the money to actually do a subsidy like that and to make it profitable.
Mm-hmm.
And if they did, I guarantee you everyone would fall in line and say, yeah, that's freaking amazing. Why don't you just do that?
Mm-hmm.
But no one thinks of that crap, because it's not impacting them. They've never been in that world where they have to pay rent or pay for food, right? Like that's not a good way to live.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't give all the secrets away, but I just had a great idea. So we'll share it off the podcast. But but guys, how do they find out about you? How do they get a hold of you? The podcast is amazing. Tell everybody.
Okay, Jeremy, if you want to go.
Yeah, man. No, so our podcast, REI Brothers, in every single platform that you might listen to your podcast on. We're also on YouTube, REI Brothers. We're on Facebook. You can find us by our names. We're very, very approachable. LinkedIn as well, Oscar Buendia, German Buendia. Our website is www.gooddaycapital.com. And Instagram, REI Brothers REI_Brothers. And like I said, we're very approachable. We try to answer to every comment, every message, everything that you want. Yeah, that's the easiest way that they can reach us, man.
Perfect. Well, be ready because y'all are about to get sent between like 7 DMs because I already have the builder. I have the finance guy. I've got the agent. Like we're good. Like it's all taken care of. So
awesome.
So I just need it. But I appreciate y'all so much, guys. If you like this episode, make sure you share it with your friends, guys, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thank you for listening to Construct Your Life with Austin Linney. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to rate, review, subscribe, and pay it forward by sharing with a friend. Most importantly, take this opportunity to start constructing your life by taking immediate action on what you learned. For show notes, resources, and more information on one-on-one coaching with Austin, visit constructyourlifepodcast.com.